Hey everybody, Shawn Holsinger here from HolsingersFlyShop.com. Bringing you another fly tying video. This week it's a steelhead fly. Steelhead season's in full swing, so why not give you a pattern that you swing for steelhead. This today is a Marabou Spey fly, just a old school Spey style fly. Just a nice twist on it using Marabou. A lot of materials you might already have laying around. So give it a try. Mess around with different colors, have a lot of fun. It's a great pattern to swing. I'm going to show it to you on a salmon hook. We don't carry it in the shop, but use a streamer hook, like 2340 or something like that. It'll work just fine. I just wanted to try it, excuse me, tie it more traditionally and see how it looks, and it looks great. So I love this pattern. I can't wait to get to fish it, and I think you're going to like it too. Here you're going to see a picture of the fly and then the material list to tie it. Okay, here you see a white variation of this Marabou Spey. Very cool looking pattern there. Let's get into tying it. I'm going to tie it in a different color just to show you, experiment and have different options. For a hook, we do not carry this hook in the shop. Just as a little disclaimer here, this is a 2050 Daiichi number 5 or size 5. If you have streamer hooks like a 2340 or something like that, just go ahead and use that. It'll work just fine. I just have some of these, so I'm going to use it. It'll be a little bit more traditional style. And I'm going to start my thread on there. I'm using some brown olive thread. And we're just going to start it. You can see here with this hook, you have to tie the hook, the eye together. So I just start it right there, and then I'm going to wrap it back to right in front of the eye here. Or sorry, right in front of the hook point. You can see my thread's hanging down right at the hook point. That's where I want it. Now I'm going to tie on some French oval tinsel, and I'm going to tie this on the side, like around the bottom, and just get that on there nice and tight. And then we're going to wrap back to about to where the barb would be, of course, but it's in my vise right now, so I can't see it. So I want to wrap that back there and wrap my thread back up. Alright, now we're just going to take and wrap our French oval tinsel forward. I want to get about 5 to 6 good wraps here. Making sure that I don't twist it here so it lays nice and flat. And once we get a nice little butt section on there, I'm just going to come in, make a couple wraps to tie that off. And then I'm going to cut this a hair long. Reason being, I'm going to take, and I'm just going to strip the silver piece. You can see the silver little film there. And it just allows me to tie this down a little bit neater. There we go. And make a nice smoother body. Next thing I'm going to use this is a black squirrel tail here. And I'm just going to take a little clump of fibers here. You could use bear if you had bear, I'm sure. I don't want a big section, but I'm going to make a tail out of this black squirrel. And there you see. Not a big section, but enough just to make a visible tail on it. Try to get the tips nice and close to lined up there. And then I'm going to go a little less than, probably about half the length of the hook shank. And we're just going to tie that down on top and tie it right back there to that butt section. And there you have a nice little black tail sticking off the back. Now I'm going to cut this out to where that eye hooks back at, and that's just going to build up a little bit of body. You can see there, and it's going to smooth it all out to that eye section. So just cover that up with thread. And now we go back to our body material now that we have our tail on. I'm going to take that section of French oval tinsel that I had just cut off here, and I'm going to put it back on. I'm going to stick it back on the bottom again. Wrap it back to that tail. And then we are going to put on some flat diamond braid. This is shrimp pink. And I'm just going to wrap that on the other side here. And just tie it down tight. Get it right back there to that silver. You can see here now I'm right back to that silver part there. Silver butt section. And wrap this forward. And just try to make it nice and smooth. Nice and level. You see I got a little bit thicker at the butt here. So I'm going to add a little bit of thread just to smooth this out. And then I'm going to bring my thread up onto that eye. Now we're going to take our flat diamond braid and we're going to wrap it forward, and I want to make sure I get that right back to that butt section, covering everything up just so it's nice and neat. And then we're going to make just slightly overlaying wraps and wrap it forward. This isn't going to show through a whole lot, so it doesn't have to be perfectly neat. You know, this is a fishing fly, not a show fly. We're going to wrap that up, tie it off. And then trim off our extra. Now we're going to come back with our French oval tinsel, and we're just going to make a nice rib on here. I'm going to wrap that forward, get about 5 wraps or so going forward. Try not to twist up your tinsel. I got a little bit of a twist there, so there, I get it out. And just space it nice and evenly. Try to be neat with your work. That's the main thing. Tie that down. Now we're going to put a little bit of flash onto this fly. For the flash, I'm using some UV polar chenille. This is copper. So we're just going to tie that on. And then I'm going to wrap this around. And as I'm wrapping, I'm going to stroke my fibers backwards. Just so they get that natural flow to them. And get about 4 good wraps on there. So I get a nice flashy undercoat here. And then we'll tie that off. See, I'm getting up close to the eye, so I'm going to have to bring that back just a hair. I'm going to take all my UV polar chenille fibers there, stroke them backwards, get them going the way I want them to. There you see it all goes back towards the bend. And now we're going to put our hackle on. For our hackle here, we're going to use some Marabou. This is black. And you can see how this is pretty thin fiber. It's not the real bushy stuff at the bottom. We're going to tie it in by the tip here. So I'm just going to stroke some fibers back from the tip. Pick that tip section out and tie it in. So I'm going to make a couple wraps, and then I'm going to pull that tip back over itself to wrap it down and lock it in place a little bit better. Now we're going to take our Marabou and we're going to just palmer this around here. And as we do it, one thing you can do that'll help a little bit, take your scissors, rub it down the shaft of that feather, and it'll help lay those fibers down on the one side, the side you're wrapping down first. Get everything going the same direction. And we're just going to make 3 or so wraps around here, just to get a nice flowing collar here on this. Don't go overboard on this. You know, you want action, but you don't want it too much. That was a pretty thin feather, so I'm actually putting a couple extra wraps on it. And then we're going to tie it off. 2, 3. Trim off our extra here. And then clean up our collar. Okay, there we go. We got that nice black look to it. It's going to be a great dirty water fly. Again, stroking all them backwards, getting it all going the way you want. That's looking great. We're going to put our last thing on, which is a mallard flank feather. This is a natural one here. You can use dyed ones if you want. Make whatever color pattern you like here. Again, I'm going to pull out the tip sections. So you can see I stroked it out there, just pulled the tips out. And I'm going to tie it in by the tips. Get that tied in nice and tight there. I'm going to cut the tip section off. Again, I'm going to stroke those fibers back on the top side here. Get them to lay over as I wrap it around, as I palmer it around. And then I'm just going to get probably about 2 good wraps on here, just to get some of them fibers to go around. Keep stroking it back as you go so it lays the way you want it to. One more. There we go. And then tie it off. Okay. Now, we can either trim these or pull them back. I'm going to pull these back and wrap them down where I want them. And then work on a little head here, trying to keep it nice and clean, not overdone. There you can see, you got that nice color on here. Last thing I'm going to do, totally optional. If you have one, I was tying at the symposium, picked up a nice jungle cock cape. So I'm just going to put that jungle cock on there for an eye. Strip the fibers back on it so it's just the eye, like you see here. And we're going to sit this on the side and tie it into place, one on each side, like that. And put one on the other side. Just look on the top there, make sure they're both going the same length. Yep, like that. And then we'll trim that off and clean up our head, and we will be done with this fly. Jungle cock, definitely optional. You don't need it to fish with it. If you want, it looks cool. And you can always use synthetics. So, clean up your head. Hit it with a little Solarez. And we're done. Get out there on the river and start swinging these for steelhead. Okay guys, hope you like the looks of that pattern as much as I do. It's a very cool classic style looking pattern. As I showed you there at the beginning of the tie, before I tied it in a white with some green mallard flank, and it looks really cool. I think it'll be great for like emerald shiners, that kind of thing. And don't be afraid to throw this in bass water too, you know, summertime, in your smallmouth bass rivers and stuff like that. That'll work just fine. The black one we tied in here, I like to use black more in muddy conditions. White ones when it's a little bit clearer. You know, experiment with different things. Throw some browns in there, some olives. You never know what's going to work for the fish. Whatever it takes to trigger them, to make them bite that day is all you need. So have fun tying, guys. You need any of the materials, like always, please go to our website at holsingersflyshop.com. And if you have any questions or would like me to tie anything for you, reach out to me at holsingersflyshop@gmail.com. So thanks for watching, guys. I love bringing you these videos. Until I bring you another one next week, I'm Shawn Holsinger.